record. Pause, stop. Okay. All right. Hello, second graders. So I am going to go over a special place with you guys today. So make sure you guys have that out and a pencil and a highlighter. First off, we're always going to start off with reading our questions first. So starting with question number 1. What is the difference between night and day in the Mojave Desert? Use 2 details from the passage in your answer. So normally I would ask you guys, but since I've muted everyone who's on Zoom with me right now, I'm going to say that you guys are going to highlight the most important part. So I'm going to read it again. What is the difference between night and day in the Mojave Desert? Use 2 details from the passage in your answer. I am going to highlight difference between night and day. So everyone go ahead and highlight difference between night and day. All right, difference between night and day. And then I'm also gonna highlight 2 details so that I remember that I need to find not just 1 detail, but 2. I love that I can see people doing this with me. All right, number 2. What is the best way to complete these sentences about rain in the Mojave Desert? The rainiest time in the Mojave Desert is blank. About blank inches of rain fall in the Mojave each year. One more time. What is the best way to complete these sentences about the rain in the Mojave Desert? The rainiest time of year in the Mojave Desert is blank. About blank inches of rain fall in the Mojave Desert each year. I'm actually going to highlight rainiest time of year so that I know that when I'm reading the story, I want to find a sentence in the story that says rainiest time of year. And then I'm also going to highlight inches of rain so that I know that in the story, I need to find out how many inches of rain fall in the Mojave each year. All right, I'm gonna move on. If at any time you need me to review it, for those of you who are watching right now, you guys can re-watch the video later. And then if you're watching this video that's already been pre-recorded, then you can pause it, okay? Number 3, complete the chart. Write 1 fact you learned from the picture. Write 1 fact you learned from the caption. Use the facts in the box below. So what I'm going to actually highlight is these 2 inside the boxes, what the picture tells me, what the caption tells me. So go ahead and highlight what the picture tells me, what the caption tells me. This is so cool, guys. Okay, next, question number 4. This question has 2 parts. First, answer part A, then answer part B. Read the sentence from the passage. Other desert plants are dormant or resting for most of the year. In this sentence, what does dormant mean? I am going to highlight dormant or resting because in class we've learned that when we're looking for context clues for different vocabulary words we don't know, usually if there's a comma and it says another word, that's usually going to be the definition. So I'm going to highlight dormant or resting, and then I'm going to highlight what does dormant mean. Dormant or resting, and then what does dormant mean? And then part B, which word from the sentence best helps you understand the meaning of dormant? So I'm going to highlight best understand. So best understand. I'm actually going to also highlight the meaning of dormant so that you guys, it's very clear to you what is best understanding. So you want to understand the meaning of dormant. What does dormant mean? So which of those 4 words that they have choices for would be the best meaning? I hear a doorbell ringing. All right, the next one is going to be question number 5. Some desert plants have colorful flowers. Pick the word that best completes the sentence below. The root word of colorful is blank. The word colorful in the sentence means about the same as blank. So I am going to highlight colorful flowers because we are describing the flowers. Colorful is an adjective, and we're describing the flowers. So we're going to understand what colorful means. I hear someone unmuted. I'm going to mute them. Perfect. Okay. And then the next thing I'm going to highlight is going to be root word of colorful. And then remember, we said the root word is the main word. The root word is the main word. So we know that full is a suffix. Full means full of color. So then the root word is color. And then the word colorful means about the same as. So I want you to highlight colorful means same as, okay? So one more time, colorful means same as. Colorful means same as. And then we have two more questions. Why is it hard for plants and animals to live in the Mojave Desert? Pick two choices. Why is it hard for plants and animals to live in the Mojave Desert? So what I want you to highlight is hard to live, hard to live, hard to live in the Mojave Desert, and then highlight two. Because I want you to remember that you aren't just gonna click two on your computer. You're not just gonna click one, you need to click two. So hard to live in the Mojave Desert, two. And then the last question is, which of these words from the passage is a compound word? Which of these words from the passage is a compound word? So highlight compound word. And we know from our grammar lessons that a compound word is two words that make up one word. For example, like rainbow. It's made of rain and bow. Or ice cream. Is ice cream two words? All right, so now that we've highlighted all the questions, what we're gonna do is, you guys are muted, so we're gonna read all of the highlighted words, just the highlighted words. So number one, the difference between night and day, two details. Number two, rainiest time of year, inches of rain. Number three, what the picture tells me, what the caption tells me. Number four, dormant or resting. What does dormant mean? Part B, best understand the meaning of dormant. Number five, colorful flowers. The root word of colorful is, and colorful means same as. And then number six, hard to live in the Mojave Desert, two. And then number seven, compound word. So now that we've reread the most important parts of the questions, now we're gonna go through the story. So now we know the questions. Now what we need to do is we need to find the answers. So we're gonna read the story, and then every time I see a part that I believe there is an answer in, I'm going to highlight it, okay? So I'm gonna read on my paper, and you guys should be reading on your paper. So, special place. You may think a desert is hot, dry, and empty, but a desert can be cold at night. Some rain falls each year, and certain plants and animals can live in the desert. The Mojave Desert is one of 4 deserts in the United States.
I can't hear.
Uh-oh, you can't hear me? Can everyone else thumbs up if you can hear me? Okay. Sorry, Camden. Maybe afterwards, after I'm done recording, you can rewatch it then, okay? Okay. It covers parts of 4 states. The states are California, Nevada, Arizona, and Utah. In the Mojave Desert, it gets very hot during the day, but it can be very cold at night. The Mojave is dry. It gets about 5 inches of rain a year. Most of the rain falls during the winter. Ooh, that was one of our questions. I'm going to go back and look at the question. So that was on question number 2. Question number 2 says, what is the best way to complete these sentences about the rain in the Mojave Desert? The rainiest time of year in the Mojave Desert is blank. About blank inches of rain fall in the Mojave each year. So what I'm going to do is I am going to highlight it gets about 5 inches of rain a year. Most of the rain falls during the winter. So I'm going to again highlight. It gets about 5 inches of rain a year. Most of the rain falls during the winter. It gets about 5 inches of rain a year. Most of the rain falls during the winter. Perfect. Moving on. Plants in the Mojave. Most plants cannot live in the hot, dry weather of the desert. Ooh, I think that had to do with one of the questions. Why is it hard for plants and animals to live in the Mojave Desert? Pick 2 choices. So that was question number 6. So one of the reasons why it could be hard is because it has hot, dry weather. So I'm going to highlight that sentence. Most plants cannot live in the hot, dry weather of the desert. One more time, you guys are going to highlight. Most plants cannot live in the hot, dry weather of the desert. The soil or dirt is rocky and sandy, but some low bushes, grasses, and other plants grow there. One plant is the prickly pear cactus. Its leaves look like needles. The leaves are called spines. So another reason why plants can't live in the desert is because the soil or the dirt is rocky and sandy. And as you guys have read in science, you need a lot of rich soil for a lot of different plants to grow. So because that was also one of the questions, I am going to highlight the soil or dirt is rocky and sandy. The soil or dirt is rocky or sandy. So that would be another reason why a lot of plants would not be able to grow in the desert, because it doesn't have really rich and wet and healthy soil. Now, there's a picture and a caption, and that was one of the questions too. So I'm going to go back. And question number 3 says, complete the chart, write one fact you learned from the picture, and write one fact you learned from the caption. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the picture. What's something that we can learn from this picture? So I can see that there are little spikes. So I'm going to highlight some of those spikes. Or you can even circle it with your highlighter, whatever you prefer. So in the picture, I can see that the prickly pear cactus has little spikes. Its leaves look like needles. The leaves are called spines. So those spikes are called spines. And then I also see something that's growing on top of the cactus. I'm assuming that's the prickly pear part. So I'm going to also circle the cactus or the pear part. And I also noticed that this is the ground, and it's not too far from the ground. Like a tree would be all the way up there, but it's very low to the ground. So I am going to also draw like a little arrow, kind of like that. Not an arrow, I don't know, a bracket. So you guys can see that it's a very short cactus. So those are some things that I learned from the picture. So a prickly pear cactus has these like pears growing from the top. They have like sharp needles that look like spines. And I also learned that they're very low to the ground. Now, another question for that question was, what does the caption tell you? The caption is at the bottom of the picture, and it says, ouch, don't touch a cactus. So I want you to highlight that whole thing. Ouch, don't touch a cactus. Now, why do you guys think it says, ouch, don't touch a cactus? I'm assuming you guys are, I see you walking. You know what? I'm going to unmute someone.
Hurt.
Oh, yeah. Who's talking? Tara?
Yeah, because
Oh,
the spikes like hurt you.
yeah, because they'll hurt you. Perfect. So the caption teaches us, thank you for unmuting her and muting her. The caption tells us to not touch a cactus because the cactus have those needle-like spines and they're very
There are
potent.
spikes.
They're spikes, yes. So then that's what the caption teaches us. Perfect, you guys are awesome. I love that you guys are here. Okay, so next paragraph. Some plants grow only during the wet season and live just a few weeks. Then they die. Okay, so that's another reason why plants it might be hard because they only grow during the wet season. So highlight only during the wet season. Highlight only during the wet season. Now, some plants, you can highlight some plants, but I think we can remember that. And I don't want to highlight too much. So I'm going to highlight only during the wet season for some plants. So that's why, and that's going to help us answer our question later because the question was, why is it hard for plants and animals to live in the Mojave Desert? So it might be because, well, they only survive during the wet season and then they die. So, and the wet season is only for just a few weeks. Other desert plants are dormant or resting for most of the year. So that was one of our sentences from our questions. So we're going to highlight that whole thing. Other desert plants are dormant or resting for most of the year. Now, we know that when there's a comma after a word we don't understand, usually right after that comma, it describes or gives us the definition of that word. So dormant means resting. So if we were to take out dormant, we would say other desert plants are resting for most of the year. They only grow when it rains. Some desert plants have colorful flowers. They make the desert look lovely. So from here, let's go ahead and kind of dive into what that sentence we just highlighted is. Other desert plants are dormant or resting for most of the year. So what that might mean is maybe they're not going to die completely. Maybe they're just like kind of like maybe like how bears hibernate in the winter. These desert plants, they're just resting. They don't have to take a lot of water. Maybe they soaked up a lot of water in like the cactus. Maybe the cactus soaked up a lot of water so that it doesn't need a lot of water. So that during the year when it's really, really hot and there's not a lot of water around, they're able to kind of hold it inside themselves, kind of like a bear. When a bear hibernates, a bear eats all the food during like the summer, and then when the winter comes, then their bellies are all full, and then they can go for a couple months without eating anything. So maybe that's what it means by their resting. They only grow when it rains. Some desert plants have colorful flowers. They make the desert look lovely. So again, let's highlight colorful flowers, highlight lovely. Now we know that full is a suffix, and the meaning of the suffix full is full of. So for example, if we say that that girl is so beautiful, then that means she is full of beauty. Or if we say, don't worry, if you come to our store, we have a plentiful amount of toilet paper, then that means they're full of toilet paper. They have plenty of it. So for colorful, it means they're full of color. And you guys know that when something is full of color, then that means that, it's very vibrant, it's very bright. There's, red, orange, yellow. It's very like energizing. It's very beautiful. So that's why we're highlighting lovely. It's not just dull colors. Okay, we're almost done. Desert plants have different ways to stay alive. They send their roots out to seek water. Some plants send roots out in all directions. Others send roots deep into the ground. Desert plants store water in their leaves, roots, and stems. Many plants open their leaves only at night. This keeps them from losing water during the day. So this is why it could be hard to live in the desert for plants. So we are going to highlight some of these things that plants have to do in order to survive in the desert. So they send roots out in all directions. So highlight that. They send roots out in all directions. A lot of the plants that we learn about in school, their roots go straight down. But in the desert, they have to go sideways because the dirt and the ground is so shallow. So they need to reach their roots out so that they can find water. Some go deep, deep into the ground. So I highlight deep into the ground because that's where all the water is. They can't just have short roots. And then they have to store their waters in their leaves, their roots, and their stems. So I highlight store water in their leaves, roots, and stems. So those are all different ways that plants can survive in the desert. Many plants open their leaves only at night. This keeps them from losing water during the day. So we're going to highlight open their leaves only at night. So it is super hard to be a plant in the desert because the desert can be very, very dry. So just in these couple paragraphs alone, we've learned that a lot of plants die in the desert because there isn't enough water. We also learned that the roots can either go in all directions or have to go deep into the ground. And we've also learned that they have to store their water in all different types of places like the leaves, the roots, and the stems. And we also learned that some plants only open their leaves only at night, and this helps them keep from losing the water during this day when it's really, really hot and sunny. Okay, 2 more paragraphs. The Mojave Desert is also hard for animals. Some reptiles live there. They include rattlesnakes, lizards, and the desert tortoise. They can stand the heat. Large mammals cannot. They cannot store enough water in their bodies to stay alive. Ooh, so large mammals, like maybe like a polar bear, a big bear, maybe like a horse or a giraffe, so big animals, a tiger, okay, those larger animals, they wouldn't be able to survive in the desert because they cannot store enough water in their bodies, okay? So I want you guys to highlight cannot store enough water in their bodies. Cannot store enough water in their bodies. Well, I highlight to stay alive, but same thing. So cannot store enough water in their bodies to stay alive. They cannot find places to hide from the sun, but some small animals live in the desert. Ooh, so another reason why some animals can't live in the desert is because there aren't a lot of hiding places. I know we've actually learned, I think, if you guys have read about Pip, the prairie dog. I think that was earlier in our year. They have burrows. They dig burrows so that they have shade. And then the desert tortoise, which we learned about a few weeks ago, they sometimes will hide behind a rock. Oh, I see someone is raising their hand. Okay. Anyways, let's see. They cannot find places to hide from the sun. So I want you guys to highlight cannot find places to hide from the sun. So write highlight. Cannot find places to hide from the sun. But some animals live in the desert. You can see coyotes in the Mojave. You might see foxes. The smallest desert mammal is the kangaroo rat. Kangaroo rats look like mice, but they have strong back legs. They can jump high and far. They can live in the desert because they do not need to drink water. They get all the water they need from the seeds they eat. Ooh, so then maybe that's a reason why kangaroo rats are able to live there. So then highlight do not need to drink water. Do not need to drink water. And then highlight, get all the water they need from the seeds they eat. I'm gonna record you guys. I love that you guys are working. So cute. Okay, now before we go ahead and go through our questions, we're gonna read through everything that we've highlighted, okay? Just what we've highlighted. Okay, so I'm gonna start on this side. I highlighted, it gets about 5 inches of rain a year. Most of the rain falls during the winter. Most plants cannot live in the hot, dry weather of the desert. The soil or dirt is rocky and sandy. And then I circled the spikes or the spines, the prickly pears. I put a bracket around how short the cactus is. And I also highlighted, ouch, don't touch a cactus. Okay, I see, Ethan, that you want to talk. Ethan, let me actually here. Okay, Ethan, you are unmuted. What is there something you wanted to share? Oh, it's not letting me unmute you. For some reason I can't unmute you. Sorry, Ethan. Okay, we'll figure that out afterwards, okay? Okay, the next part is going to be only during the wet season, other desert plants are dormant. Here, let me see if I can do it this way for you guys. Other desert plants are dormant or resting for most of the year. Colorful flowers, lovely. Send roots out in all directions, deep into the ground, store water in their leaves, roots, and stems, open their leaves only at night. Cannot store enough water in their bodies to stay alive, cannot find places to hide from the sun, do not need to drink water, get all the water they need from the seeds they eat. Awesome. Okay, I see Elisa's hand. 1 second, let me see if I can unmute you. Yes, what's up, Elisa?
On the question page, there's on the other side, it has some parts of the passage.
Ooh. Which question are you looking at?
Number 1.
Number 1. Okay, let's go ahead and read. Oh, I see what you're talking about. There's more to the story. You're talking about this, right? I didn't see it. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, let's read it really quick. Thank you so much, Elisa. I am going to see if I can mute you. Thank you for finding that. Okay, let's read this, okay? The hot sand can cause problems. You would burn your feet if you walked barefoot on the sand. Some desert animals keep their feet safe by moving fast. Some have hairy pads that protect their feet. So I'm going to highlight hot sand can cause problems. So everyone highlight hot sand can cause problems. So either, it's really, really hot, so they have to move fast, or they have to have hairy pads that protect their feet, kind of like shoes for them. And then some animals adapt to the desert in another way. They carry their fat in just one part of their body. Fat makes animals hotter. It is better to have the fat in one place. Desert animals may store fat in their tails, for example. Since they do not have fat all over, they stay cooler. So then I am going to just highlight that last sentence in the paragraph. Since they do not have fat all over, they stay cooler. Since they do not have fat all over, they stay cooler. And then the last one is the Mojave Desert is hot and dry, but it is not empty. Animals and plants have special ways to live there. All right. We are going to move on. I'm going to reread just these parts since I've already reread the rest. Hot sand can cause problems. Since they do not have fat all over, they stay cooler. Okay, number 1. What is the difference between night and day in the Mojave Desert? Use 2 details from the passage in your answer. Okay, so let's go back into the story. What is the difference between night and day? Use 2 details from the passage in your answer. Okay, so already I see that we could have highlighted one more thing. So I'm going to highlight it because it is an answer. I am going to highlight in the 3rd paragraph, it gets very hot during the day, but it can be very cold at night. So highlight, it gets very hot during the day, but it can be very cold at night. It gets very hot during the day, but it can be very cold at night. Now, I would consider that, I guess technically that's just one detail, because what is the difference between night and day? So at night it's cold and then in the day it's hot. I think another detail you can talk about is we highlighted about the leaves. So at nighttime, some plants open their leaves only at night, and then during the day they close their leaves so that they don't lose water. So I would consider that 2 details. So get your pencil out. I'm going to use a pen so you guys can see. If you guys want to use a pen, that's up to you. I'm not getting these back. So what is the difference between night and day in the Mojave Desert? I am going to write, it gets hot during the day. It gets very hot during the day, but also very cold at night. So it gets hot during the day and cold at night. And then for those of you guys who are on Zoom with me right now, I am going to kind of move on so that I can help this video go a little bit faster. But later on, what you guys can do is you can watch the video again and then pause it, and then you guys can write this down, okay? So again, what is the difference between night and day in the Mojave Desert? It gets hot during the day and cold at night. And then the next thing you're going to say is that one of the types of plants. So many plants open their leaves only at night so that they don't lose water during the day. So I'm going to write many plants open their leaves only at night so they don't lose water during the day. During the day. Woo. All right. So one more time, it gets hot during the day and cold at night. Many plants open their leaves only at night so they don't lose water during the day. You guys are awesome. I'm gonna give you guys a few more seconds and then I'm gonna move on. And then again, if you don't finish it in time, that's okay. You guys can always rewatch this video and then pause at this time. I love it. Okay, number 2. What is the best way to complete these sentences about the rain in the Mojave Desert? The rainiest time of year in the Mojave Desert is, you can unmute yourselves and then you guys can tell me the answer.
Winter.
Anybody?
Winter.
Winter? You can unmute yourselves. You guys can unmute it and then you guys can mute yourselves back.
I think
Winter
it's A, winter 10.
Ooh, let's see. I hear A, I hear B, I hear
B!
summer.
B!
Okay, I am going to read it in the story again. Are you guys ready?
A.
The story says, okay, listen, okay, everybody mute yourselves. Okay, let's see if I can mute you guys actually. Mute all, continue. Okay, it says,
D.
it gets very hot during the day, but can be very cold at night. The Mojave is dry. It gets about 5 inches of rain a year. Most of the rain falls during the winter. So this paragraph right here. Remember, if you're not sure, you need to reread. You need to reread. So it gets about 5 inches of rain a year. Most of the rain falls during the winter. So go back to here. And it says the rainiest time of year in the Mojave Desert is winter, and about 5 inches of rain fall in the Mojave each year. So most of you are wrong. It is winter 5, D, D. So what I want you guys to do is to write, reread. Now, you guys are going to be taking an assessment tomorrow. And so remember, when you're taking your guys' test, you cannot ask for help, okay? This is just like school, how we normally do it in class, or it is school. You guys have to take these assessments alone. So I know a lot of you guys would have seen A and thought, oh, it's A because it's winter, but then it's not 10 inches of rain, it's only 5. So make sure you guys reread, right? Reread. Make sure you guys reread the story so that you're getting each part of that question right. Okay, moving on. Complete the chart below. Write one fact you learned from the picture. Write one fact you learned from the caption. Use the facts in the box below. What the picture tells me, what the caption tells me. So if we look back at the picture and the caption, the picture tells us about the spikes, how short it is to the ground, about the prickly pears that grow on top, and then the caption tells us don't touch a cactus because it's going to hurt you. Ouch. So from the picture, which one of these answers do you think is best for the picture? What to do if you see a cactus, how big a cactus is, where a cactus can grow, what the spines on a cactus look like, why a cactus can live in the desert. Okay, you guys can unmute yourselves. Which do you think is the best answer for what the picture tells us?
The spines on a cactus.
What the spines on the cactus
Love it. So everyone's gonna write in this box what the spines on a cactus look like. What the spines on a cactus look like. What the spines on a cactus look like. Now, some of you guys might have thought it was how big a cactus is because we talked about how low it is to the ground. But in reality, all we're seeing is just a little bit of dirt, and the picture of the cactus is actually very small. So if you guys ever have seen like a cereal box, sometimes they'll have a picture of the cereal, and then on the box it'll say enlarge to show details. So then if you put the Cheerio next to the box and the picture on the box is much bigger, it's because they enlarged it. So same thing in this picture, they want to show you what the cactus looks like, so they made it smaller so that it fits on the page. So that one isn't an accurate image of what a cactus, how big a cactus can actually get. So the best answer is what the spines on a cactus look like. Okay, next one. What the caption tells me. So the caption says, ouch, don't touch cactus. So which do you guys think is the best answer for that one?
What to do if you see a cactus?
What to do if you see a cactus. So what do you do if you see a cactus?
Don't touch it.
Run away from the cactus.
Run.
Scary.
Run away and don't touch it. And don't cross it.
Run away.
And Kara, I'm looking at your poster.
While writing that down, I'll give you a fun fact. When Miss Park was in elementary school, I was riding my bicycle and I wasn't very good, and so I ran
And he writes
into a bunch of cactus or cacti, and I had all of those little prickly things all over my body, all over my clothes, and my mom had to take tweezers and pick them all out, and I was crying so much because it hurt.
That happened to my cousin before.
Yeah, so don't touch a cactus, and don't ride your bike into some cactus because that's gonna hurt.
Hi.
Bryce is here? I didn't know Bryce was here.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, I'm gonna mute you guys again.
Where?
Muting
Oh,
all.
there he is. It's he, Bryce.
Okay, number 4. This question has 2 parts. First answer part A, then answer part B. Part A, read the sentence from the passage. Other desert plants are dormant or resting for most of the year. In this sentence, what does dormant mean? So we know it means resting, but there's nothing that in there that says resting. So which one is a synonym for resting? What is the meaning that might be the same as resting or dormant? So there's dry, old, growing, or sleeping. Which of those do you guys think, and you guys can unmute yourselves if you know the answer, which of those do you guys think means the same as dormant or resting?
Sleeping.
D.
Other desert plants are sleeping for most of the year, kind of like when I was talking about that they're hibernating, it's sleeping. So go ahead and select D.
Yeah.
And then part B, which word from the sentence best helps you understand the meaning of dormant? Which word from the sentence best helps you understand the meaning of dormant? Resting.
Resting.
Very good. Because we know that we highlighted it because we know that a word with a comma after it, and it's a word we aren't sure of, usually has the definition. Okay, moving on. Last page, number 5. Some desert plants have colorful flowers. Pick the word that best completes the sentence below. The root word of colorful is blank. The word colorful in the sentence means about the same as blank. So what is the root word or the main word for colorful?
Color.
Color, very good. And so it's either going to be C or D. So you guys can actually cross out A and B.
C.
Go ahead and cross out A and B because we know it's not going to be or full. Full is going to be the suffix anyways, and or is not it. The root word of colorful is color. The word colorful in the sentence means about the same as. Now, what can we do? What skill have I taught you guys that you guys can do to figure out this one?
You can
Reread.
reread.
We can reread.
Reread.
Read is true, but I'm looking for one that starts with a P.
I'm on. Reread.
Look your words on the sentence.
Reread your face.
Sorry, Roy, what was it that you said?
Reread.
Words on the sentence.
Okay,
that are the
I'm going to
same.
mute everyone except for Roy. Okay, just Roy. What?
Why Roy?
Yeah, why
But you
Roy?
have to
Why Roy?
Okay, finding the word of the sentence. Okay, everyone repeat after me. Plug it in.
Plug it in. Plug it in your face right now.
Yeah, I'm muting. Okay, muting. So the root word for colorful is color. The word colorful in the sentence means about the same as blank. We are going to plug it into the sentence. So it says, some desert plants have bright flowers or some desert plants have different flowers. Which one do you think, bright or different? Which one makes the most sense when you plug it in and will keep the meaning of colorful when something is very colorful? What do you guys think? C, I see Aria doing her sign language for C, and she is correct. C is correct. Right. Now, even though different works in the sentence, it's when you look at it in the sense of what colorful is, colorful doesn't mean that something is different. It means that something might be very bright. Okay, number 6. Why is it hard for plants and animals to live in the Mojave Desert? Pick 2 choices. Now, we know a lot of reasons, but we only need to pick 2. So the desert is very hot. Thumbs up if you think that's a reason. Perfect, I see thumbs up. So I'm gonna put a check mark. And then remember, okay, you can do thumbs up if you think it is, thumbs side if you think it's a meh face, thumbs down if you think it's for sure, okay? Number 2, B, the desert has little rain. The desert, why is it hard for plants and animals to live in the Mojave Desert? Okay, I see some meh, so I'm gonna do a meh face. The desert is cold at night. Okay, I see thumbs, a lot of thumbs up and down, so I'll do a meh face. And then the desert has only small plants. Is that what makes, why is it hard for plants and animals to live in the Mojave Desert? The desert only has small plants. Now, does that make it hard for the plants to live and the animals to live? Not really. I don't think that has to do with it being hard. So I'm going to put an X. And then the desert covers parts of 4 states. Does that have anything to do with plants and animals? No. Now, we are still unsure about B and C. Now, some of you guys are only thinking about plants. You have to remember about the animals too, because it says, why is it hard for plants and animals? So I want you guys to circle that. Plants and animals. I want you guys to think of both the plants and animals. Why would it be hard for plants and animals to live in the desert? I'm going to go back to my story. So I know for plants,
Oh, candy. Hi, Ethan.
okay, so I know for plants, all it says is that it's very hot and that they need lots of water. And even for the animals, it only says that it's this hot sand can cause problems and that they can stay cooler because of their fat. So I think that the desert is cold at night does not have to do with why it's hard. I think it has to do with it being very little rain. So I want everyone to put an X next to C. The desert is cold at night. Technically, because it's cold at night, a lot of these animals are able to recover from all the heat. So, and the plants too, the plants will open up. So actually it being cold at night, the plants like it. So the best answers are going to be A and B. So put a check mark next to B. And then I want you to bubble in A and B. Okay, last question, and then we're done. Which of these words from the passage is a compound word? Now, a compound word is 2 words put into one. So what is that word?
Barefoot. B is barefoot. B is barefoot.
All right.
Barefoot.
Okay, so that is all of the questions. For those of you guys who have been watching this recording, I hope that was bearable to watch. I will try to have it so that we can all be doing like Zoom chats like this the next time, because I know this would be kind of a long video just to watch. So that way you guys can interact a little bit more. So hopefully that helped. I will get to your question in a second, Arya. So for those of you who are with us and who aren't with us, tomorrow is when you guys need to take your assessment online. So you guys are going to get, you guys already have To the Tundra. Now, can your parents help you guys with your tests?
No.
So you got your grammar test, your grammar test, and your comprehension test, which is To the Tundra. And then you're also going to be doing a performance test tomorrow, guys. Okay. So for the performance task, I will give you guys the answer to questions 1, 2, and 3 for the writing. So, and you guys have all those papers. So I will do another Zoom chat tomorrow. And then for those of you who guys are on it, you guys can watch it. And if you're not, then I'll record it again so that you guys can see it. Okay. So let's see if there's some questions. Aria, do you have a question? Let me unmute you. Aria, what's your question?
Save Zoom to your Chromebook.
Yes, you can Zoom to your Chromebook. So if you, for some reason, aren't able to get Zoom and add it to your Chromebook, then message me on Dojo, and then I will help you guys get Zoom on your Chromebook, okay? Is there any other questions? Let's see. Anyone else have any questions?
Oh.
All right, then. I guess that's it. It was awesome.
No!
Guys.
Nobody has a question.
This part.
I'm going to mute everyone except for Kira. Okay, yes. What was your question?
So we are running Zoom on this Chromebook, the one you gave us today.
Perfect.
So once you click on the meeting, the link in the meeting, it'll ask you to download it to the Chromebook.
Mm-hmm.
So just follow the menu and it'll download it.
Okay.
So how are you going to the meeting? So this one, when you record it, where are you going to post it to?
I am going to post it. I'm hoping that I can just save it and post it straight onto Dojo. So
Okay.
I'm going to figure that out right now. And then if I can't do that, then I will somehow get it to you guys one way or another.
Yeah, because sometimes like in corporations, we do SharePoint. If there's like a SharePoint, or is there some sort of Google?
Yeah, I can share it onto their Google Documents. I'm going to just stop the recording.
Okay, yeah, stop the recording.